The slate door is warm through my glove. Smoke lies low, oily, licking my teeth with a taste like old coins. Sergeant taps my helmet twice. Left forefinger point, breathe. I fit the butt of the las to my shoulder, cheek to taped rubber, eyes on the peel of corridor beyond. There's a child's drawing on the wall of this hab, sun and double-headed bird. Crayon lines scored deep. The priest behind us croons into the voxhaler. I can feel the hum in my ribs. Minutes later, 3 rooms deeper, the hymn is a thickness in the air you have to push through to breathe, and the floor under the grit keeps twitching to the rhythm of distant artillery. We go by the book until the book snags. Murk, corners, breath fogging the inside of the lens on my rebreather. Armin takes point with his stubby shotgun and stub-wider shoulders. Eam 3 back. Marauder pack hissing softly as it feeds. Good charge on the pack. Thumb check earlier left the usual warmth. My hands keep doing the small things they always do without me. Thumb finds the worn patch of canvas on the handguard. The little charm of stamped tinaquila at my collarbone drags cold when I move. We say the words between teeth when we have breath. For the Emperor, for the line, for the knife hand that holds, the barrel that points. They come out like drill, a rhythm to set lasshots by. Door 2, glass pane frosted gray with residue from something that burned weeks or hours ago. Mara ghosts the frame, scissors her fingers. I slide left as Jenks goes right. Pillows and broken ceramic and a shape on the bed under an old cloak. I nudge it with my boot, firm like you would a cable on floor plating. It gives with a sound, I know, and we don't look under the cloth. We file past, barrels down, guns up. Outside, across the verge of this landing, the stairwell cuts down and up. A wedge of open, the handrails burnt, treads slick with dust like talc that clings to flak. Soot sticks to the sweat inside my gloves. I can feel the seam line rub that little patch on my thumb used for checking ammunition packs. A callous I've worn years into myself. Above, the hymn climbs a note. The light you carry, the fire you are. Eyes, Armin grunts. He says little, keeps it like sparing fuel. I look. The eyes are in the slits of a door 3 flights up. Warmth glimmer, a sigh of breath. Something there, someone, maybe with a weapon, maybe not. I feel my tongue search the gap in a back molar and press away from the taste of copper smoke. From the world narrows to a slice you can push a shot through. Vox says block is red, Mara whispers. Clearance by section, no non-combatants left. Take nothing to chance. Take nothing to chance means put red lines through anything that moves if it isn't in our tabs. My palm stings where the Aquila charm chafes under my vest when I breathe deep. I push it down into the sweat with my thumb. Don't think, move, we move. We take 3 flights slow, measured, loss set to low because we have to be careful. Slow bleed of power, not the hot bright beams that etch ghosts on your retina, not unless we need to. The door with watching light opens on a fraction, then all at once, and a shape in rags lunges out with something like a kitchen knife, mouth open on a name. Armin's shot blasts gray out of lungs and the shape goes down twitching. He Jenks steps and checks the corners neat. I keep my barrel sweeping and my feet nowhere to step because Sergeant had us walk these stairs in the barracks 1,000 times with sticks and shouting, not holding a knife above shoulder, keep the elbow tight, keep the muzzle level. Hands remember even when head is full of singing. Clear, Jenks calls, quieter than the priest is loud. We move on. The hymn throbs through the walls, words carved into the brick by coverage from the truck outside. A weight everyone carries because refusal is heavier. The rooms are the same and different, furniture redone, holes through windows with edges melted smooth by heat, a child's shoe under a chair leg, a devotional picture open to a page with a saint's eyes rubbed flat by thumbs, flaking gold dust like mica in the air when it's caught by your torch. Flies, too, lean in one room, real fat ones flinging themselves against a dimness with thrum-thrum like a weak vox line, their little bodies glistening as if they've sweated. We find 3 men with kitchen knives and pipes, and one with a real slug pistol that cracks hard and loud and sends concrete splinters into Mara's cheek. She curses, sticks a rag there she got from somewhere, white going pink, then red. When I sight and fire, the man staggers like someone stepping into rain, 3 neat smudges in his chest, knife held hilt forward like a relic even as he slides down. Armin makes the sign before we stack the bodies along the wall, casual flips of fingers, 2 taps because it's what you do so you don't catch the wrong kind of gaze on your back. Keep it strict, the commissar says from behind the priest, voice clear even through the mask. I don't look back. You don't look back unless you are spoken to by name. Voss is his name, you don't say it, he is a black cutout in any room, shaped shadow with a bolt pistol like a brick in his hand. The priest's mouth is a cut rose as he speaks into his horn. He quotes, I don't mind the sound of it. It's a thing to hang your breath on. It keeps your knees unlocked when the stairs are endless and your shoulders are a wire pulling up loads of air that taste like dead cook fires. We reach a floor where the corridor is broken open. The outside is a different color, day washed white by dust. The street we crossed to get here glints with broken glass as if it had rained as much as it has burned. Our chimera is down there with its machine spirit twitching the stubber in small arcs, bored and vigilant, and the gunner's hands are on the grips, my one finger tapping a rhythm I recognize from the hymn even if he isn't aware. I smell promethium above the smoke, fresh, raw, someone siphoned. We stop. Wait. The clock inside my ear ticks to the beat of my blood. The Aquila charm rubs again and I think of the way I was taught to line it up with the middle of my chest when I cleaned it. Center line, bones, faith, all in a straight path. The line is there even when you can't see it. In, Armin says, room by room. The first door on the left is wedged by a chair. Armin and I move like a hinge and shove. The chair skids. Inside there are 5 people on their knees and a boy standing with a plastic jug of promethium, mouth wet at one side with a spill. The smell is big. A boom of a smell like something opening under your ribs. They turn as one, your eyes huge each in a face with its own story before this moment that I do not get to know. Someone makes that little sound like the first step in pleading. Down. Hands, I hear my voice say, and it's the same one I use when waking men who fell asleep on watch. Firm, sure, put your hands where I can see them, put your hands. The boy's fingers tighten on the jug, Hez wearing a strip of blue cloth on his forearm like the Hab Union wore before everything. No, he says, it's a word. It's a knife. He starts to lift the jug and my finger moves without me because that's what fingers do when bodies move toward fuel with fire in the air and mouths say no. 3 shots, low setting, and they just make holes in him and he breathes through them as if they're not his, and then he folds as if someone's pulled the twine from him. One of the women lunges and Mara kicks her back with a grunt and her heel skids a little on the promethium as it begins to thin out in a slick across the tile. The priest says something about clean hearts and the light of truth. My throat tightens. Someone behind me laughs, a high sound like when someone finds an extra ration token and then bites it off. Secure, Armin says, because that is the word that covers everything here now. We cuff them with bands that bite and haul them to the corridor while the priest speaks and brushes a smear of black on each forehead with the edge of a thumb. He does it without looking down. His eyes are on some point past the wall, past this block, even as if the song is a horizon he can see and we cannot. We clear 3 more rooms. We run low on charge on a pack and swap in one smooth, practiced slice click that feels like drinking water. Jenks burns his forearm on a heated door handle and we throw a cloth over it and he keeps going, teeth flat like a saw. The place keeps being itself. Rooms with beds and bowls, the dampness of places people have breathed for years. Once I find a polished rock on a shelf with a child's face painted on it in clumsy strokes, yellow hair, square eyes. I touch it with a gloved finger because the paint is flaking and the piece comes away black on my glove. I rub my glove on the rim of my flak. It leaves a smear I know will be there until I scrape it off with a knife. When it begins to slide, it's not some big thing we see. It doesn't announce itself, and it's just that the rooms we are getting to now have been lived in harder recently, with blankets damp still with body heat, with cooked smell you could eat out of the air, with someone's hair on a brush, with cups set to dry with the water not quite done running off. It's a change in pressure. The hymn is louder too. The commissar is closer. Voss moves like a hinged door too, his coat not catching on anything, his hands steady as if we dragged the earth itself under him to smooth his step. His bolt pistol is a weight in the corner of my eye. The first child we pull from under a bed is gray with dust and holds her breath and then blows it out in a ragged shake when she thinks we are going to shoot and we don't for that moment. Mara says, "On your feet," in a voice that has worn words like that down to a soft line, and the child's eyes skid between us and the priest and the shield painted on my shoulder. She has a bandage around her wrist with something written on it in marker. I don't look. We herd them toward the stairwell where someone in medical cover has set up a triage sign with chalk and it's misspelled. And that, for some reason, sticks somewhere inside me where the father's loosened belt stays stuck after a long march. Red on the 4th floor. Confirm. The Vox scratches in my ear with their voice like a torn coat. Armin squeezes the bead on his throat and answers. His words are square bricks he places in a line for someone else to read later. Squad 2 moving, triage set, civilians located. No hostile heavy, repeat no heavy, clear to cleanse, says a voice that could be anyone with cap and seal. And maybe the same one who told me 2 days ago to stay put while shells walked the field an arm's length away. The worlds are stacked on each other and you can't tell which one your breath lives in. We go up, and the hymn is very loud now. The priest is behind me. His breath is steady and smells like mint under the wet copper smoke. The commissar's presence is a line drawn on the ground you step over at your life's price. We kick open a door where the hinges have been oiled today and find a woman with nails bitten to the quick guiding a boy's hand with a match towards a line of rag and oil set along the skirting board. She looks up when we come, and her face opens with hope. It's there for a full, clean second, a thing lit from inside like a window at night you're allowed to look into, and then it's like she's swallowed it because we have guns. Down, I say again. The words are a lever. I pull them and the world moves. She drops the match and puts her hands up. The boy puts his hand up too, palm raw with burns old and new, fingertips bubbled and white. The match is on the floor unlit. He looks at it with disappointment the way you do at a thing you were sure of that wasn't there after all. Jenks moves to kick the rag line aside. Mara keeps the muzzle on their chests. Armin is watching the window. He always watches the window too. That's why he lives. The commissar steps in. The boy looks at him like he's a statue in a book. The commissar's pistol looks like a book of its own with a heavy spine. "Contaminants," the priest says into the horn. "Burnt offering prepared, holy intention. The order is cleansed," the commissar says, but he says it like rain says it's falling. The word comes down. "I no quarter. Ward's red, sir," Armin says. His voice has the stones in it now. He does not say don't. He never says don't. He winds his words carefully around the thing he wants to keep from breaking. "Civilians. Contaminants," the priest repeats. He's looking beyond us all. The boy looks at his burned hand and then at my hands. He lifts his hand toward me as if I could do something with it, as if one soldier's palm has properties. "I don't have children. I have issued kit. The commissar lifts the pistol. It clicks, that sound like a plate laid on a table. He tilts it towards the woman. Mara moves a fraction toward the boy, a twitch like a snag in thread. He's near her. He's closer to her boots than mine. The irreversible thing breaks, then Armand steps a half-pace forward. "Sir," he says, and his mouth does a thing I've never seen, a tremor, and Voss shoots him clean through the forehead. The bolt shell takes the top of Armand's head away, and the bottom drops as if his knees cut their strings, and he folds, and the blood is black in the gray light, and there is a flap of skin that settles like a damp leaf. He makes a sound that I help him not make by putting my boot where his chest might try to rise and pinning him and willing it down. Because we have to be quiet, because he is my sergeant and he is done, and no one should hear that sound about him. The shot curdles the hymn. It wobbles and then grows louder, a hand clamped around a throat made to sing harder. Mara makes a noise like a hinge, old door opening. She takes one step toward Armand and stops because Voss' pistol is on her, and the distance between barrel and face is a length you can measure by the skin around your mouth. She swallows it. I see her throat move. The priest touches my shoulder with 2 light taps, 2 touches even softer than Armand's had been, and for all time those 2 touches will occur next to the other in my nerves even if I live another 10,000 breaths. "Duty," he says into his horn, his mouth close to the loudness. He does not look at me. It is a general statement sent to the air. Everything in me that knows to move listens to that as it would to thunder. My finger curls to touch the trigger point, and the skin there is slick with someone's oil, maybe my own, maybe from the rag line. And the friction is different, and I cannot feel the notch. We cleanse. I do not know where I put my shots. I know the kick, the heat on my cheek from the beam, the way the smell of burnt cloth smears into the smell of skin. The boy opens his mouth and nothing comes out, a goldfish thing, then a sound like metal ribbon unspooling. He goes down with the unlit match in his palm. Mara steps back as the woman folds and touches the edge of a shelf to steady her boot. Jenks is breathing very fast. His chest humps his flak like a bellows. The priest praises. The commissar watches. We pull out. Armand lies where we leave him for later. His boots look very large. I do not step on them. I step around the black spread he is stopping, the edge with little claws that pull at the soles of boots as you pass. I have the sense of a line drawn from my face to something not here. I can't move my cheeks properly. I try to say the next line of the prayer because there is always a next line of the prayer. It is built that way to keep you from the gap. And the words make no shape in my mouth. They go like breath against a cold pane. My lips make the form of the aquila without touch. I look down for the charm at my collar, and it is there, cold through sweat, pressed into the notch in my collarbone where it always sits. And it is heavy now in a way it never has been, pulling my neck down into my chest, into the line where Armand's blood is, into the floor. "Up," says Voss, and his voice is very clean. "Through. The top floors. Through. There is always a through. We go." Without Armand, a space keeps opening in front of me that the rest of us can't quite fill right. Jenks takes the front because Mara's hand has started to shake, though she can make it stop if she wants. She can hold it out flat and it will be a tray. She can do that. She does that. She carries the gun like a plate you must get to the table before the food slides. The hymn makes the window glass tremble now so that lines of smoke stutter as they rise. "Adjust," the Vox hisses, an impersonal hiss with coordinates. I write them into my head as if I am going to go there and stand and be those numbers. Battery Sigma ranges, 2 minutes. Mark. We are in a hallway when that comes, with hooks with coats on them, bright blue among the black and gray, and a mirror with a crack splitting my face when I pass, making me twice. And also a third piece that slides a fraction out of step with the other 2. The commissar passes behind me and his coat erases the hanging coats for a moment, and then they are there again. "This is ours," the priest intones, and his breath puffs on the glass. He fogs my face further. In the next room, there are mattresses stacked in a corner. You can read the outline of bodies in them where people have been sleeping in heaps, small and big. There is a pot with a crust on its rim of something you could eat if you boiled it and scraped it. I have thought about that many times. Now I do not. Now I step in and there is a man behind the door. A sliver we missed, his hair singed to brown stubble, and he rushes at me with a shard of mirror. The shard cuts the web of skin between my thumb and finger and slides a little and makes that piece of me a second mouth that eats air and groans. I punch him in the ear with the end of the loss, and his jaw pops loose and he falls backward and his head thunks twice before it stops. I stand over him, and for a second I think he is my uncle, but I never had an uncle. And it is the way sweat has cut white paths through the soot on his face. His teeth are small and look too many. He reaches for my boot. I stamp his wrist and he screams like a kettle, that bright screaming you can always hear over the hymn. Mara steps past me and shoots. The beam draws a nick above his ear and his head smells like burnt hair I remember from a training pit, and the feel of my own scalp beneath my hand when the barber set the clippers down for a second to wipe sweat, and I felt naked and pleased. Someone calls for a satchel on the Vox. Different net above us somewhere, a voice I do not know. Another person is sobbing in the corner. She is trying to pull her skirt down over her knees even though it's already down. No one is looking at her. I am looking at the light on the shard of glass he dropped and the way it catches the flame in the oil lamp on the table and throws a spear of light at my eye. We get to the roof and the wind hits us with grit you feel in your ear, which means you will not hear right for days. The city is flat and endless and moving with smoke. A statue 3 blocks over of the emperor with his arms out is black all down the front as if he has been rained on with oil, and his right hand is missing 2 fingers, jagged at the knuckle. The top of this building is tar and gravel and empty. The pistol on the roof by the chimney is still warm. There is food up here, tins opened and scraped. There is the smear of someone's sleeping place. There is no one left. Then the first shell walks in from a long way and lands a neighborhood away. A slow bloom we see before we feel it. And then the next 2 come shorter. And there is a hand dragging me down that could be mine or Mara's. And we are flat. And the world goes to coarse sand. The priest lies with his horn against his face like a relic and keeps talking, and I feel the words through the stone into my chin bone. The commissar crouches and looks like a statue put there to remind the building not to fall. Shells right their way toward us. They say a different hymn. The roof cracks and throws its grit in a sheet. I suck it into my mouth and taste tar and old bird droppings. My hands are on my helmet and my elbows are in and my laz is under me and its trigger is pressing into my diaphragm so that when I breathe it digs, and I take smaller breath to avoid that. The shock front hits and there is nothing like it in any other thing, and it is a hand through you that plucks everything you are tied by and snaps it and lets it go in the same movement. It leaves my bones humming. Mara makes a small whimper without meaning to. The first sound she's let slip since Armin fell. I know that because I have been keeping track of her sounds without knowing I was, as you do with someone who is the other square in your formation. Jenks is clutching his cross where his rosary hangs in the gap under his vest, rocking. He is counting. He is saying numbers. Maybe he is saying the prayer. I can't tell. His mouth is shaped as if it is, and that is maybe the only thing that matters. The shells stop as if someone pinched the line. The silence after is big and mean. The wind brings back the smoke that had been scared away. I roll, my cheek noisy against my own lens, in and get my knees under me and stand because that is what there is to do. My legs work. They are a machine. Someone built them. I feed them whatever is needed and they go. We move back down and the stairwell is not what it was. There is a slit of light where there was not and the railing leans. The smell is brighter. In the hallway with the mirror is on the floor and my face is in 100 pieces each looking a different way. I do not stop to see if any are looking out. The triage chalk is gone from the landing where we had stacked civvies. The landing is gone. The space is a bruise in the air. The priest speaks his words and now they sound like someone cutting cloth with dull scissors. The commissar steps past again. His coat touches my knee and leaves a line of clean in the soot on my flak. And the child we pulled from under the bed is face down on the next floor's landing with both hands stretched in front of her. Her bandage is wet right through and the marker has run. The letters are a black fog on white. She is quiet. Her hair is full of grit. Her neck is a thin root. I stop long enough to slide 2 fingers shut over her eyes because that is something to do you can do without saying anything. And Mara bumps me and then puts her hand over mine over the eyes and presses too, adding a weight like signatures on paper. Move, the commissar says. The priest says, this is how we breathe. I stand up and step over the child because that is also something you do. The Aquila charm at my neck slides and catches on a dig in the collar edge. It tugs and burns and then snaps its chain and drops. It makes the smallest sound ever made by metal when it hits. A tick, a note not part of the hymn. I freeze because some part of me has been carrying that tick for years in my neck like a tooth you worry when you think you might be about to choke. I bend and put my fingers to it. It is warm from me. It has grit pasted to the back in lines that print into my thumb. I hold it to my throat where the chain wore its groove and it does not stay without the chain. For some reason, this is a surprise. I close my fist around it and the points press. Leave it, says Voss without looking. His voice is not cruel, it is a fact. His boots go past. I put the charm in my mouth. It tastes like sweat and iron and the dirt of the wall where it rubbed. I close my lips on it, tongue hard against the metal to keep it from dropping out. The edges bite my tongue. My hands are free then. I can carry the laws. I can help drag the wounded. We go down. The way back through the rooms is harder because things have shifted 1/2 meter to where you expect them not to be. My thigh runs into a low table and leaves a bruise that spreads hot through the muscle like something spilled. Jenks is limping now. He has a splinter of rebar through his calf and the head of it winks when he steps. He says, I'm all right, because that is also a lever you pull and the world says, okay. We pass Armin's body again. It's slewed a little from the shelling, his head at an angle where you can see into his ear. There is dried blood in the fine hair there like red dust. His bootlaces are neat. His hands are open, empty. I don't remember him putting his hands like that. Take the left, Mara says. She's in Armin's place. The gap has a block in it now. It's the wrong shape. It holds anyway. I follow it. We get back to the room with the ragline of fuel and the woman and boy gone now because shells stole everything they could carry and left what they could not. The rug is wet with the slick that did not quite catch. I step in it and feel the cold through the rubber of my boot sole. It makes me want to go faster and slower both at once, like a rope tugs one arm and the other arm is tied behind my back. I keep moving because you can only do one at a time. Down one more set and we are with the dead we had not meant to make and the wounded we cannot carry. Someone is looking at me with the ruin of their face where their mouth should be to say please, and it is good I cannot hear that. I inflect my hands in the signs the medics use. Wait, we will come back. There is a line. You are seen. They nod as if I have said a thing that can be believed. I walk past, breath regular, Aquila tight between tongue and palate so my words, if I had them, would sound thick. We reach the street. The chimera is turned at an angle now, and there is a big petal of metal open at its side where something boarded out. The machine spirit is dead or sleeping. The gunner sprawl is open-mouthed, eyes up into his own helmet brim. The hymn outside is different, louder yet, and also far away, as if the air is carrying a recording of itself. The commissar signals and 3 more of our lot fan, rifles pointed down the road where glass makes a C. The sky is low. You could rip it with your fingernail. We set up a line by the door. Mara kneels, breath hissing. Her hand is steady now, and she touches the corner of her jaw where there was ash and rubs it away partially, leaving a stroke like a stripe. Jenks sits, unwraps the rag on his calf, looks at the rebar and wraps it again tighter. His fingers are very careful. Each move is something I have seen him do to a rifle, to a friend's bandage, to bread. The priest finally puts down the horn a little and breathes a different way. He takes a scrap of cloth from his sleeve and wipes the edge of it clean and puts it away as if he is polishing a thing he will hand on. I take the aquila from my mouth and spit grit with it. The marks in my tongue throb. I look at the charm. It is bent in one wing from where I pressed it too hard against my teeth. The 2 heads look in neither direction. They look down at the smear my glove left earlier. It is ash ground in. No matter how I rub, it does not come off. I try the corner of my sleeve. It makes a darker, wider stain. The stamp is full of it. Reinforce, Voss says. He doesn't look at us. He looks down the street. His hand rests easy on the butt of his pistol as if that is where his blood returns to. I slide the aquila into the pocket inside my flak where my handkerchief should be. The cloth is gone, used on someone else's, wound already and left behind. The pocket is rough. The metal catches and snags a thread out in a loop. I try to push it down with a finger and it pricks me. My fingertip beads red. I put the finger in my mouth and taste it. The taste is old and simple. The wind shifts. I smell the sewer strong like a breath from down in the stone. Water runs under your feet even when you can't hear it, moving whole cities on its way to nowhere. We move to cover the intersection. The sun does not so much set as lean away. A light flicks on in a room in a block opposite, very yellow against all this, and I almost lift my hand to wave to no one before my hand stops. There is smoke in my lashes. It catches and makes a net. I do not look to the sky for a sign. I do not know if I stood straighter because of a story of a saint or because the beam on my gun bracketed right to my eye. All I know is my cheek has the mark from the lens, the oval flattened where it press. My shoulder is a stone. A shape shows at the far end of the street, then 2. The hymn goes up. We sight. We do what we were put here to do. The bolt pistol is ready behind my right ear if I do not do it. My tongue finds the wounds where the aquila bit. Mara counts down under her breath as if it is a prayer. Her numbers fall like small stones into a pond with no bottom. When we fire, the beams run straight, true. The smell stacks again. My trigger finger knows where to stop and start without instruction. The 2 shapes come apart, lie down, are gone. There is a second between breaths where I think of Armin's hands, empty. I think of the boys' match. I think of letters bleeding into rag. The aquila in my pocket presses a dent into my breastbone with each shot. I shift my foot to a better purchase and feel something give under my heel. I look down. It is a child's crayon, blue ground flat into the grit, the paper sleeve stained darker with sweat. I lift my boot and grind it into the dust with my soul slow, as because that is what the ground does to everything here, and because there is no other movement I can make that makes any difference at all.